everyone. So just start your practice today by lying down on your back. It's the best way to start, don't you think? And once you get down onto your back, separate your feet out a little bit wide, like mat width distance, and let your knees just drop in towards one another. And then rest your hands on your belly. And close your eyes. So if you're finding in this position that you notice the hard surfaces under you, maybe you can feel like the hard floor under your head or under your shoulders or under your pelvis, feel free to add more cushion or more blankets. That little folded up blanket that you made earlier, that could be just the right height for you to slide right under the back of your head, just to make a soft layer between your head and the floor. And as you find a comfortable place to land here, close your eyes if you hadn't done that already. Just take a moment to notice whatever it is that you notice. It's interesting how sometimes we can assign some qualities to what we notice. Are you doing that? Are you labeling sensations or thoughts as good or bad or desirable or not desirable? I invite you tonight to enter into a space of observation. Let this be a practice of noticing. But notice with this reminder that everything is interesting. And extend that idea of everything is interesting to the breath. What's the quality of the breath? What's the rhythm of your breath? How does the breath feel as it moves in and out of your body? Sometimes it's helpful to have a kind of structure for our breathing. It can help focus up our mind, give us something tangible, especially if we've come from a day of doing and we're feeling a little amped up. Putting this little bracket around the way that we breathe can help to make the transition between the busy and upregulated parts of our body and mind into something a little quieter, into something that really captures the spirit of restorative yoga. The breath practice tonight is known as samavriti, which means equally fluctuated, or sometimes the whole fluctuation. In other words, an equal amount of inhale and exhale. I'm going to count us out at a 5 count, but if you find that the 5 count doesn't really work for you and you need to change the pace or you need to divert and do your own counting, you are welcome to do what you need to do. First, just exhale your breath all the way out. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continue on your own at a 5 count or whatever count suits you best. Let go of your counting and step back into that space of observing. Do you notice anything different now than when you first lay down? Whatever you notice is fine and interesting. Go slowly to bring your knees in towards your chest. Catch hold of your knees with your hands and then just make some really gentle rocking movements. Try side to side at first. It might be interesting to do some circles. Circle your knees around. Rock back and forth, front and back, across the back of your pelvis. Then separate your knees apart from one another and draw these kind of rowboat circles with your knees. So really making some movement where your thigh and hip bone meet. Reverse your circles. And then join your legs back close together. Pull your knees in a little tighter towards your chest. Roll all the way over onto your side. Tuck your chin in and pull your knees in. Curl in. Use your arms to push yourself up to sitting and let your head dangle so that your head is the last thing that arrives in your upright seated position. Close your eyes and come to cross-legged. If you prefer to put your legs out straight, that's totally fine. Rest your hands in your lap or settle your palms down on your thighs. And just breathe for a moment. Consider what it is that you intend for your practice this evening. What brought you to your yoga mat? What kinds of qualities do you hope to access? How might moving and breathing with more ease support you as you move into whatever comes next? join your palms together and lift your hands in front of your heart. We use this gesture in our yoga practice called Anjali Mudra to seal up our intentions, to remind us that we can touch into qualities that are bigger than just the shape of a pose. What are those qualities that you're tapping into this evening? When we sing together the sound of Om, we take the energy behind our individual intentions and put it together into this sound that's expansive and comprehensive, a sound that's said to contain all of the vibrations of everything in the universe. We sing Om as a way of acknowledging that we're connecting to something bigger than just a shape or a posture. We sing in a way that honors the ritual and the wisdom and the traditions of yoga. Please add your voice to mine, or you could just listen. Exhale your breath. Breathe in deeply. Release your hands into your lap, keeping your gaze soft. Blink open your eyes. Okay, take your rolled up blanket and put it long ways down the middle of your yoga mat. You may or may not want the folded blanket that you had for under your head, so have it nearby in case you decide you might want to use it. Then you have two ways that you can use this blanket. The first one is that you can sit in front of the blanket and then lie back so that your pelvis is grounded on the floor, but the blanket is still touching the whole of your spine. Great option. The other option is to sit up on the blanket so that your pelvis is not on the floor, but also up on the roll. And maybe part of this will be determined by how long your blanket is. But I think you get the idea. The blanket is meant to be along the whole of your spine. And then you might have to have a little clothing adjustment. Feel free to adjust so nothing feels bunched up. Add a blanket under your head if you need a little more height. Focus on making this feel comfortable. You can also play around with your legs, so it might be nice to have your knees bent with your feet flat to the floor, but you might also decide to stretch your legs out straight. So explore that option as well. And you don't have to analyze it too much. Just pick the one that immediately feels nice to your body. Make just a little space between your arms and the sides of your body and let your hands land where they land. If they naturally turn up, I love that. If it feels like your hands naturally want to fold down, palms towards the floor, that's great too. And sometimes your hands just land in between, kind of resting on the little finger side. No need to control it, just let your arms land how they land. And as you find this more settled space, close your eyes and come back into breathing. Does this feel different than when you were flat on the floor without the rolled up blanket? There's nothing you have to do. You don't have to control where your mind goes. You don't have to control your breath. Just give yourself a moment to land and observe. You might even imagine that you're snapping a little mental photo of the experience that you're having in this moment, the feeling of your shoulders and your arms, the feeling of the blanket, the roll against your spine. One more breath, just like this. Bring your arms in now, a little closer to the sides of your body. rest the pinky finger side of your hands by your sides. Less space between arms and the sides of your waistline now. So pinkies on the floor and thumbs towards the sky. When you breathe in, lift your right arm up towards the ceiling and then keep going until your right arm is all the way back behind you, arm by your ear. When you exhale, reverse. Take your arm towards the ceiling and then all the way back down by your side. So we're just going to work on the right arm just like that for a couple of breaths. Inhale, arm up and overhead. Exhale, arm down and by your side. Find your own pace and rhythm to the breath. Inhale, arm up and exhale, arm down. Inhale, arm up. Exhale, arm down. Keep going and see if you can work this lift and lower in a way that feels really fluid. If it feels like it's hard work, test out doing a little more effort, but not too much effort, right? Because if you put too much effort into lifting and lowering your arms, it's going to get tired. But if there's not enough effort to lifting and lowering your arm's like dead weight and it feels like you have to drag it up and down. Just imagine that this is the only thing we're going to do for the rest of the class. I promise that's not what's going to happen, but imagine that is. What would that be like? What would you have to do to keep your arm moving like this over and over and over again in perpetuity? Luckily, there is an end. Just do 2 more. After that second one, relax both arms. Make space again. Let your hands land where they land. And go back to the noticing. Does the right side of your body feel different from the left side? Take that little mental snapshot again and compare it to the first snapshot. Okay, gather up your arms again. Bring them in a little closer by your sides. Rest the pinky finger sides of your hands on the floor and aim your thumbs towards the ceiling. And then move the left arm. Inhale, left arm up towards the sky and all the way up alongside your ear. Exhale, left arm towards the sky and back down. Inhale, arm up. Exhale, arm down. You might already notice as you continue to lift and lower your arm, that this left side feels really different from the reverse side. Maybe you have to adapt or adjust the placement of your arm or how much effort you put into lifting and lowering. Even though now you know definitively that we're not going to do this for the rest of the class, just imagine that we are. What kind of energy or effort would you need to put into your arm so that it could keep going? Not too much, not too little. Do 2 more on the left side. that second one. Make space between your arms and your body again. Relax your arms, letting them land where they land. And notice. One more snapshot. Compare this to a moment ago where you'd only done the right side, to the very beginning of class where you were lying down without even anything under your spine. Whatever you notice is good and interesting. Move slowly to roll over onto your side. Roll down off of your rolled up blanket. Tuck your chin in and pull your knees in again. Curl in like you're curled in around your heart. Then use the support of your hands and your arms. Let your head be heavy so it's the last thing that comes up. Return back to your cross-legged seat with your eyes closed. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely with a sigh. Keep your gaze soft as you blink open your eyes. Move your rolled up blanket out of the way. Bring the folded blanket or small pillow back so that it could be under your head. And then lie down on your back again. Exactly what you did when we started our class today. Adjust the blanket under your head so you can feel this nice soft surface. Separate your feet a little bit wider and drop your knees in so they rest against one another. And then just let your arms land how they land. It's also a lovely option to put your hands on your belly, or if you're wearing a sweatshirt like me, you can tuck your hands into your pockets. There's nothing to do now. No movements, no manipulation of the breath. Just allow your whole body to soften. If you find that the wandering or the movement of your mind feels distracting or unsettling, that's okay. Notice what's unfolding. Sometimes the practice just invites us to be a little bit more patient with those unsettling or anxiety kind of initiating reactions for the mind. If it feels as if you need to intervene, remember how powerful the exhalation can be. You can deepen your breath, or even go back to the count. But just remember, there's nothing you have to do here. You can simply rest, be as you are, and allow the thoughts to float past like clouds in the sky. We're going to stay right like this for several minutes. We'll keep quiet so you can be with yourself and continue to notice whatever you notice. deepen your breath. Come back from wherever your mind might have been. And notice how you feel in this moment. Moving slowly, roll over onto your side. Once again, tuck your chin in and pull your knees in. Curl in around your heart. Use your hands and your arms to support you. Push your body up into a seated position. Let your head dangle, being the last thing to arrive. Close your eyes if they weren't closed already. Feel the impact of that pose. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely with a sigh. Keep your gaze soft as you blink open your eyes. For our next restorative yoga pose, you'll need your bolster or pillows or whatever couch cushions or items you might have collected. I think you might also want to keep that blanket for your head. So you could keep that where you had it before and bring your bolster so it's just in front of that blanket that you had open for your head. So the setup here is just your bolster or your cushion or a pile of bed pillows with a soft place for your head to land over top. The getting into this posture can be like a little weird, but we're essentially doing a supported version of a bridge pose, using the bolster to support pelvis and upper back. So to come into this posture, sit up on the bolster, on your cushion, and then move carefully to lie back. And as you lie back, you want to wiggle yourself towards the end so that the edge of the bolster or your pillows is hitting under your upper back. Head and neck and the top of your shoulders should come to land on the pillow or on the blanket you're using for under your head. And then you can let your arms rest by your sides. They can be wide if that feels better for your body. I'd recommend keeping your knees bent with your feet a little wider than your knees. That can help bring some ease to your low back. And then just have a moment to see how this feels. The idea is that your head and the top of your shoulders are lower than the rest of your body. But if you find that you come into this posture and you feel a lot of pressure in your head, like if your nose is stuffed up or you're having allergies, sinus pressure, it might not feel very nice to do this position in such an extreme way. Or if for any reason this feels compressed through your throat or it just feels like it's not right in your body, try adding another layer of blanket or cushion between your head and the floor. Basically, rise up your head and shoulders a little closer to the same level as the bolster, reduce the drop off, and see if that helps. And if none of the things that you do to adjust help you feel open and clear through your throat and your head, you can go right back to the pose we were practicing a moment ago, where everything's on the same level or a bit closer to it. While we're cultivating stillness in all of these postures, I never want you to feel like you're stuck. You always have permission to move and adjust, to create a more comfortable and supported position for your body. A gentle reminder that there's a difference between making a mindful adjustment to create comfort and fidgeting. Can you err on the side of mindful movement, not just fidgeting or rustling around in the shape. As you do find a more comfortable and supported place for your body, come back to notice whatever you notice. Let your mind wander and float like clouds through the sky. And also know that the breath can anchor you as needed. The exhales can help you relax. And the inhalations can help gather up and focus your mind. You can use the breath counts of Samavriti as needed. Remember, there's nothing you have to do or make happen here. Simply an opportunity to observe, to be curious about whatever you notice. Bring your attention back from wherever your mind might have been. Deepen your breath. Take your time. Move slowly to roll over to your side, down off of your bolster or your props. Tuck your chin in and pull your knees in. Curl in around your heart. Use the support of your arms to push yourself up to seated. Let your head dangle and be the last thing to arrive in a seated position. Feel the impact of that pose. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely with a sigh. Keep your gaze soft as you blink open your eyes. We use the bolster again for the next pose, but for this one, I'd like for you to prop up the end of the bolster just a little bit higher. So here's where I'm going to employ some blocks, but maybe you'll decide to use something different. Keep the bolster low tonight. So I would say one block, if you've got it, or maybe an extra little pillow under the end of the bolster. One small caveat though is that because the bolster is staying low, there can be quite a bit of a drop off here, which can put some kind of high demand on your low back. So if your low back is sensitive to this kind of setup, you actually might need to put the bolster up a little bit higher. I think you can probably see what's happening here with my bolster, right? This is a pretty severe drop off. But if I add a second block on the higher side, because this end of the bolster goes up, this end of the bolster goes down, and so that will be less demand on my low back. So I'll leave that to you to play around with. One advantage to keeping yourself low is that your arms don't have to work as hard to get towards the floor. It'll be easier to get your arms down on the mat once your back is propped up. So you can play around and find the right spot. I would add the blanket under head again, a nice soft cushion, though maybe that's too high, and you can decide when you get down there. And then also bring back your rolled up blanket. So there's a couple things that you can do with the rolled up blanket. I'm going to show you one option if you only have one blanket available, but you may have also decide that you want a second blanket to have one under each leg. But if you've only got one blanket, I'll show you what to do. Bend your knees. This is for everyone. So your feet are flat on the floor. Scoot yourself back so you're sitting right up against the edge of the bolster. And then bring your blanket and put it over your ankles, and then tuck the ends of the blanket under your ankles. You're making this little kind of donut shape around your ankles. And then when you drop your knees out to the sides, the blanket will support your ankles and keep you from overstretching in your inner legs. If you have two blankets though, you could roll up your two blankets and put one on either side of your legs. We do that often in my restorative classes. So you can play around with that and decide what will create the most support. If you happen to be quite open and your knees just automatically land on the floor when you come into this diamond shape, you might not even need the blankets at all. But don't let your legs dangle or feel big stretch. We're trying to be contained. When you get your legs sorted, lie back and let your arms fall out to the sides. For this one, try flipping your palms upward. But if that feels too taxing for your shoulders or for your arms in any way, adjust your position. Adjust your hands, adjust the block and the bolster. Sometimes this posture can just feel kind of open or maybe a little overexposed. And if that's feeling true and making you feel unsettled, a blanket over top of your body might be the solution to help you feel more settled. It could just be as simple as putting a folded blanket at belly and down across the front of your pelvis. Make whatever adjustments might feel nice for you. Any way of arranging your body so that you feel held but not overstretched. Come back into that place of noticing. No need to control what's happening with your mind. Let your mind and your thoughts float. But know that you have the breath available as an anchor. You can gather up your mind to your breath anytime that would be helpful to you. If you find that this position feels supremely comfortable, if you feel that there's no way that your body could be more easeful than you are right now, stay exactly where you are. Especially if you notice here that your legs are ready for something different. Take your time to gather up your legs and place the soles of your feet flat on the floor. Then extend your legs out along the mat in front of you, pushing away or sliding off to the side the rolled up blanket or blankets that had been supporting your legs. Once your legs are straight, let them relax and drift out to the sides. You're welcome to stay exactly as you are, with your upper body supported by your bolster or your props. Or if you think you'd like to come to lie down flat on your back, a more classic version of Shavasana, you're welcome to make any adjustments that might be required. Be sweet to yourself and go slow. Find a place where you can settle in. Comfort and ease for your body, especially for your shoulders. This will be our last restorative yoga pose of practice. attention back from wherever your mind might have been. Deepen your breath. Notice what you notice. Moving slowly, adjust the position of your legs so that your feet are flat on the floor. Roll over to your side. Tuck your chin in and pull your knees in. Curl in as if you're curling in around your heart. Use the support of your hands and the strength of your arms. Push your body up into a seated position. Let your head be the last thing that arrives. Place your hands in your lap or palms turned downward on your legs. And close your eyes if they weren't closed already. Our yoga asana practice doesn't have to be effort-filled and flashy. It can be fun to challenge our physical capacity, but it's also effective to just be quiet and still. We can make space and relieve tension in cranky parts of the body by approaching ourselves with a kind of attentiveness that we practiced this evening. Notice what has shifted for you. Sometimes we can notice the physical changes right away. Other times it's more subtle. The breath feels different, or our mood is changed, or our energy feels different. Sometimes what changes is our intention. Check back in here. What kind of intention would support you as you step off of your yoga mat? What kind of quality do you want to embody in the next part of your day, of your weekend, of your week ahead? Rejoin your palms together in front of your heart. It's a gesture that reminds us that there's some bigger way to practice yoga besides just poses. And when we sing together the sound of Om, we take the energy behind our individual intentions and contribute that to a sound that's expansive and collective, one said to contain all the vibrations of everything in the universe. We sing as a way of honoring the wisdom and the ritual and the traditions of yoga. I invite you to add your voice to mine, or of course you could just listen. Exhale your breath. Inhale deeply. With a wish that we may move forward with a peaceful mind, peaceful words, and a peaceful heart. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om. Peace, peace, peace.